Lagos ballroom was thick with the scent of jasmine and the bright, triumphant sounds of a live band. Nancy, 28, dressed in a stunning emerald outfit, stood smiling beside her childhood friend Victoria, who was showing off a diamond that glittered like a small star. Nancy laughed, hugging her friend close, genuinely happy for the divine promise Victoria was stepping into. Yet, beneath the perfectly applied lip gloss and the celebratory cheer, a hollow note resonated in Nancy's heart, the quiet, lonely echo of her own unmet desires. "How long, Lord?" was the silent, weary prayer that always accompanied her to engagement parties. The weariness in her heart was a ghost that haunted her best relationships. The memory of Steve, he was her first love at the university, a pillar in the campus fellowship, the man whose hands fit hers as perfectly as their shared dreams. They had prayed together, planned a future, and she had been utterly certain he was the one that God had meticulously selected. Then, one Tuesday afternoon, sitting on a sun-dappled wooden bench, he looked her in the eye and delivered the clinical verdict. "Nancy, I have prayed, and God is leading me differently. You deserve someone who won't question it." The sting wasn't just in the rejection, but in the idea that God had sanctioned the heartbreak after Steve, and the disappointment of two subsequent relationships that started with spiritual fire but ended in abrupt silence. Nancy became a woman on a spiritual quest for wholeness. She attended every single seminar, read every relationship devotional, and dedicated her fasts not to her career or her health, but to divine alignment. She was striving, trying to fix herself into the perfect, unmissable woman. She checked off every box of godly dating advice, yet felt emptier, mistaking her striving for faith. Heartbreak is not the absence of God. It is sometimes the only way He can reposition our footing. 2 years later, at a women's retreat outside Lagos, Nancy was zoning out, her mind drifting to her endless to-do list of self-improvement, when the speaker's voice cut through the noise. "The woman who chases love will always be tired, but the woman who chases God will never lack it." It hit her like a thunderclap of truth. She realized her pursuit had become an idle, a race she was too exhausted to win. In that moment, the striving stopped. That night, she knelt beside her bed and prayed a new prayer. She didn't ask for a husband. She surrendered the desire completely. She stopped praying for a husband and started praying for the woman God needed her to be. She asked for purpose, peace, and the courage to live a life so full of Christ that a partner would only be an addition, not the foundation. She picked up her journal, not to analyze what went wrong, but to document what was going right in her own soul. The next 6 months were a quiet, powerful revolution. Nancy mentored young women in her church, started a small creative writing fellowship in her apartment, and saw her marketing career flourish. Her laughter was unburdened now, her energy sustainable. She was whole. The glow that returned to her was a light that came from within, a radiant peace born of purpose, not external approval. She realized she was no longer waiting for a love story to begin. She was living one. It was at one of her writers and worship evenings that Kelvin walked in with a mutual friend. He was kind, grounded, and possessed a quiet confidence that settled the room. Their conversation flowed effortlessly, moving from literature to faith to the best Lagos suya spot. There was no striving, no performance, no trying to impress a potential, only a deep, comfortable calm. Nancy found herself simply enjoying the exchange, unconcerned with the outcome. Their connection grew slowly, organically, rooted in their shared values and their individual commitments to purpose. Nancy realized this was what divine timing felt like. Not a frantic sprint to catch up, but a peaceful, steady alignment. Kelvin didn't fall in love with the woman who was striving for a title. He loved the woman she had become, vibrant, whole, and utterly herself. He loved her purpose, and he was ready to champion it. One evening, holding Kelvin's hand. Nancy finally understood Steve's redirection. Divine timing is not a delay. It is the curation of a love story to grant for your current self. The pain of the past wasn't a punishment, but a necessary pruning. The path she thought was perfect was only designed to strip away the striving and lead her to the secure, whole woman she needed to be to receive this calm, anchored, enduring love. Nancy's greatest love story wasn't just about the man beside her. It was about the woman she met on the journey. Nancy aligned with God, fulfilled in purpose, and peacefully waiting. She had found that the only thing sweeter than a godly man was a godly woman who had found her own wellspring. She had stopped chasing love, and in the stillness of her surrender, love had quietly, purposefully found her. Thank you for watching. Share your reflections in the comment section. We'd love to see your takeaways.